Hi, everybody. This is Alberto on Papo com Blois. Today, I'm trying to speak a little bit in English because we have a very, very special guest, my dear friend Tom Nash from North America. And I want Tom to have a good time over here with Papo com Blois, and that's why I'm talking with English. If you guys like our series, please subscribe to the channel and hit the little bell so YouTube can send you message when there is new videos. So Tom, very nice to be talking to you over here in Papo com Blois. This is between friends, so it's good. And I wonder how you are dealing with all these all this scenario, all these things for the last months. How are you doing over? I don't know if you're in Canada or US. So tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, where to begin? First of all, thanks for having me on. It's always great to talk to you. Yeah, my story is I'm in Canada right now, just outside of Toronto. I was quite fortunate when they started to lock everything down in the early part of March. Coincidentally, in the last week of February, I had been on a business trip in the US to a few states in Atlanta, Georgia, and Tampa, Florida, had a lot of different meetings. And some of those meetings resulted in doing some deals. And just to back up for the audience, Exalis Holdings, we're a fintech holding company. So we look for acquiring companies in financial services and information technology that supports the financial services industry. So back in late February, we had a number of meetings that, even though we have not had any more face-to-face meetings since that time, we've been doing everything through conference calls and video calls and emails and so on. We were able to set the stage in February for doing a series of deals. And just like you and I have known each other for a long time now, I think going back to 2004, I remember what has happened in our business, given that we're primarily doing acquisitions of other operating companies and then helping them grow, is that it was really that network of contacts built up over many years, and then some recent ones built up over months, that allowed us to not only survive with the pandemic, but actually grow faster. You know, we've had a situation where our public stock has gone up, even since the pandemic, more than 20 times in value. And that is partly a big factor in that was really having some of the relationships built up over many years and then being able to work remotely with those people. Whereas if it's somebody you're meeting for the first time, they want to meet in person, feel comfortable. Because we already had that established, we were able to do deals even in the middle and the worst parts of the pandemic.
So, Tom, as you said, we know each other since, I thought it was earlier, but okay, 2004. But and that's good because people can notice that I have life outside Rio Info. You know, I was not born in Rio Info, and it's good to get in touch again. And what I would like to ask you is that we met over here in Brazil, and you came here several times, have been in Rio Info for several times also, and you have always many deals over here in Brazil. And how do you see what's going on the business side during this pandemic and after it?
I actually believe that the pandemic has shown really two things from a business perspective. One is that companies who are well organized and have a good business model, have a good plan and strategy, can do well no matter what obstacles they are facing. And, you know, being able to adapt to working remotely, having staff work from home, having to communicate with international clients through electronic media, you know, for the most part, good companies are still doing well. The other factor, though, is some companies are really suffering, not maybe because they were a bad company, but because that industry is being transformed. And maybe it wasn't purely because of the pandemic, but the pandemic has pointed out that there are better ways to work in certain industries. So you see things now where industries that thought they had to have person-to-person contact to be successful, like grocery store shopping, have adapted, and people are ordering the food online, picking up in a contactless manner, things like that. People still need to eat. So the food industry is not going away, but it is going to evolve. And the pandemic has forced an industry like that to evolve faster than maybe they were ready for. And some companies won't survive this. But I think, you know, for your audience, the fundamentals of having a good business model and a good strategy and being flexible enough to adapt to whether it's a pandemic type of problem or something else that comes up next. If you're adaptable, you can survive, and in some cases get ahead of the competition during these times and not use it as an excuse. I mean, where people have suffered is much more on what you would consider lifestyle issues, where, oh, maybe you would have liked to take your family to Disney World a couple months ago. Not an option this year, okay? Maybe you would have liked to spend more time out in some restaurants with some friends, and that wasn't an option. But from a pure business point of view, yes, you may not be able to go on so many international business trips as you would have preferred to meet customers and prospects. But again, they are in the same situation you are. People understand that we have to do a video call or a conference call instead. And everybody realizes that things need to move forward.
And this kind of thing, it works actually. These video calls and doing business meetings. So I think that's it's a good moment for those who are dealing in the international market, because I think with all this technology, the things are getting easier, and you will be able to get in touch with clients and build partnerships and, you know, do business in a more easier way. And I would like to ask you also, is about the use, how the business are looking to the IT and the use of technology as a tool, not as a business itself. Here in Rio Info, that's what we are talking about all the time. That the technology is a tool, and we are talking about the technology in all the business in a multi-industry environment. And so, how do you see that, Tom?
Well, this, in some ways, the pandemic is just an accelerator factor for that. I mean, technology was already important. There were already a growing number of mobile apps to support many, many industries. Now it's become essential. You know, I'm in the financial services area. One of our specialties is the world of payments. And the pandemic, at least in this area, the government came out and was basically telling people, do not use cash, do not use the paper bills, don't have money passing between people and people having to physically touch it. Use the online payments, use the tap and go at the merchant. So it really pushed everything in the technology direction through the pandemic, and everything else too, being able to order anything. Everybody saw the success pre-pandemic of things like Uber and Lyft and lots of innovative technologies. That's just spreading even faster now to other areas. People are now being forced in many countries to book an appointment just to get a haircut, for example. Yeah. Whereas normally you would have just walked in to the barber shop whenever it was convenient. Now they're forcing people to make appointments, to sign in, have their information captured, sign a waiver, and having all these type of things done electronically is obviously easier through an app than having to come into the store and sign pieces of paper. So I think you're going to see the pandemic push more things in that direction. And so the companies that, and I'm not just saying it's apps, it could be some back-end systems as well to support these things. The companies that are prepared to offer these things to the world are going to be in a great position.
Tom, you said something that I would like to point that I see that is very, very, very important, is that the technology was important back then, and now it's essential. You need to deal with this. And by the other side, we were talking, and you were saying that the meetings are all through the video conference platforms, and but I think no, not right now, maybe not next year, but in a couple of years, things will be back, not as it was before, but you still have the business trips and the business meetings outside. No, you'll have to equalize this equation again. And I remember some years ago that we had a very, very fun trip, a business trip, but it was really fun, through Canada and the US, and doing a lot of meetings. And I hope we can get back to that kind of thing again, because it's nice also to get in touch with people, to know the companies, to know everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think, some things will never go away, but some things will just be prioritized differently. Yeah. People are asking themselves now, I mean, there's still some business travel going on within regions, but people are asking themselves, do I have to go on that trip?
Yeah,
or can I do it a different way? And And you made a point earlier that I wanted to touch upon when you said with people doing things through the phone and video conference, it's actually, since the pandemic, easier to get a hold of people by phone than it was before. Nobody's in a 4-day conference. Nobody's on a 1-week or even 2-day business trip where they say, oh, you know, the voicemail says, I'll call you back in 2 days. People are generally calling back faster and more connected. It's just a question of, and what we're finding is, how well can people communicate remotely to be able to build a relationship and build a relationship of trust that the two parties can actually do business together. And that, I think, is the key. And for some people, it comes naturally. And for some, they're still learning how to get their point across remotely, when it, especially for in technology, some things are very complex concepts. So you're trying to use diagrams and present things on a video call that aren't so easy to talk through in a conference call. And people are learning, how do you brainstorm with a team on video call with visuals and things like that. It's not easy, but it also doesn't take hours and hours of downtime traveling either. So I guess my advice for people would be, if a brainstorming call that you would have liked to do in a 1-hour meeting face-to-face, and maybe it's going to take you 2 or 2.5 hours doing it on a video call because it's more difficult to understand. Isn't that 2.5 hours still more efficient than the 1-hour meeting face-to-face where you had to maybe travel for 3 hours to the meeting, travel 3 hours back? It really took a whole day to have a 1-hour meeting. 2.5 hours on video call isn't so bad when you look at it that way.
Yeah, no, that definitely. But Tom, as we're talking prior the recording, our time is up. It's really quickly. We could keep on talking for many hours, but I would like to thank you to being part of Papo com Blois, and I hope everybody enjoyed. And I let you to do the closure of the program.
Well, I would just say, you know, on a personal side, for everybody to stay safe and not take things for granted, even as there's some improvements with the pandemic. Better safe than sorry. Find creative ways to do business versus being in such a rush to go back out for the face-to-face meetings. That would be my advice.
Okay, Tom, thank you very much. To everybody that watching or listening to us, it was a pleasure. Pessoal, eu espero que vocês tenham gostado. Peço perdão aí pelo meu inglês, mas o Tom sempre é uma fonte aí muito grande de boas dicas, de ensinamentos. E até o próximo Papo com Blois. Fiquem bem, como ele disse, stay safe